Remember the Living, Monica Forrester on Sisters in Spirit and Indigenous Sex Workers is a film that's going to be premiering on December 17th, which is the International Day to End Violence Against Sex Workers. And I am here with Monica Forrester today. Hi, Monica, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. I want to ask you a little bit about the film. Do you want to tell me about it?
Okay, so the film really highlights Aboriginal women, two-spirited women, around their lives that have been lost through sex work. And just looking at pieces on how the community could work with the sex work community to make more accessibility in many different areas in their lives, but also bring awareness to the Aboriginal community, but also to look at how violence happens within the community and how the laws in the community and society heighten those issues like assaults, deaths, violent deaths, women being missing. But looking at sex work in a whole, right? So looking at how sex work and the decrim of sex work and the importance of that and the reasons why we need community support to push that and to recognize that what laws and the government portray to society brings on more violence to sex workers.
You know,
so a bit about that, and yeah.
Will you talk to me a little bit about how you came into doing activism around sex work, and particularly activism around two-spirited and Aboriginal sex workers' rights?
Like I came in the community 17, 18 years old, so so there wasn't any accessibility, but the big part was that a lot of my friends were dying prematurely. So women were dying in their early 20s, and it was around systemic abuse, it was around HIV, it was around many things that a lot of the sex work community couldn't access. And
why couldn't they access them?
Well, just the basic things that I think every person could access was like healthcare, housing, supports, safe space to call their own. You know, even though Maggie's was around, and I think that was pretty well the only agency that was around at the time. And that's when I started bringing more awareness. I felt like that we needed more accessibility.
Who were you bringing awareness to?
Well, I think bringing awareness to the community around sex work, because I think even within the LGBT community, they had this ideas of trans women, that they were, because they were sex workers, they were, violent, they were dirty, they were drug users, and so forth. And I just felt that really stigmatized us.
Yes.
And we're dealing with the stigmatized of being a sex worker, but also being trans or two-spirited or a woman of color. And as you know, statistically, women of color and Aboriginal women are the most targeted when it comes to sex work. So.
And you know, not only are they targeted, nothing seems to be done about the missing and murdered women.
Yes, and we see that. And I think a couple of months ago, I remember watching on TV when the sex work, because around the decrim and the legislator around that, I remember Harper saying, well, they know what they're getting into. You know what I mean? So we have a government that doesn't even support these issues that sex workers are going through, that, you know, so because we're in sex work, we're subjected to violence, we're subjected to murder, we're subjected to these ideas that allow people to put us in a place where we are vulnerable. So.
Yes. So I want to talk a little bit about the film. You started making the film just kind of on a whim?
Yeah, it was like a whim.
And then it really went somewhere. So what happened then?
Well, I just think, you know, well, we've had a conference last year at the Native Canadian Centre, which we brought together a whole bunch of Aboriginal communities around sex work.
Right.
So it kind of just launched on from there, and I think a lot of agencies seen the need to like step up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, put something into action. You
know, I mean, over 600 missing and murdered Aboriginal women with very little attention drawn towards this. That's unbelievable.
No, it's totally unbelievable.
How does that happen, Monica?
Well, how's it happening? Like, you know, people think that Aboriginal Two-Spirit people are disposable. That's how it's happening.
When we talk about violence in our lives, the implication for a lot of people who want the abolition of sex work is that sex work is inherently violent.
I think women are dealing with all forms of violence in every day of their lives. I think to target that it's just sex work, it's unrealistic. Like, you know, you can work anywhere and be targeted. Women are at high risk of violence wherever they work. But like I said, because the government is promoting this violence, and because of the decrim, that it's not decriminalized, it allows some people to think that they can overpower sex workers and they can treat them the way they're treated. So if we're not validated about the work that we do, that it is work, and that we have rights, you know, and we are people, you know, then these things will never change. And until we decriminalize our work and put things in place that protect sex workers, I think the violence will continue.
But what do you think about the fact that, you know, the systems that are in place to police sex work, to police our cultures, are inherently violent themselves?
Okay, totally.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, we see that. The police have, I would say, the police are their own mafia, and they run the streets. When I first came out, there was a lot of issues around policing back then in the late 80s, where police were nickeling and diming women.
Yeah.
They were taking them down to Cherry Beach. They were beating them, you know what I mean? So there was a lot going on, right? And, you know, and back then I think that's when just, you know, being lesbian, gay, trans was like, you know what I mean, a big thing.
Right.
You know, so being a two-spirited woman, you know, you were looked at as like, or just a sex worker, period. You were looked at as like garbage.
Let's finish up by talking a bit about the roundtable conference that's going to happen on December 17th. It's at the 519. Jessica Danforth is moderating it, and your film will be premiering at it. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about?
So it's like a roundtable. We'll be talking about different issues within the sex working community.
Yes.
So there's going to be a small piece, I think, with Lux that works at Maggie's.
Yes, Lux from Maggie's.
She'll be talking around sex work and CAS, around children and sex work.
Well, I'm glad that you've made this film, and I'm glad that this stuff is being taken seriously in at least our own communities.